uploading stuff, but it is not uploading, or it cuts my videos off at like 3 minutes. And they're not shorts, but they're uploading as shorts. So I'll figure that out. But yeah, I just wanted to. I'm probably going to be a little random. I don't have an actual title for this, but I was thinking about not just service today, the sermon, but just thinking in general. The Bible talks about the older teaching the younger. And I just think about why that's not really happening. Or maybe it is, but we're just not connected to the right people. And I'm considered older to someone, but I think a lot of old now, if I think about it, a lot of older people, older women, specifically it said to teach the younger women. But why a lot of older men aren't teaching younger men is because, we do what we see, not necessarily what we're told. But I think a lot of older people are just maybe not necessarily embarrassed, maybe ashamed, or maybe even prideful to share some of the things they went through, have done, to prevent someone younger to not go through the same thing. And again, I could be wrong. Maybe they don't want to expose themselves and give themselves away. Maybe they have a image to, I don't know, keep up. And really, at the end of the day, nobody cares about that. Everyone knows no one is perfect, so that shouldn't even be a concern. But I thought about how many of us would have been going through less now had we had more people teaching us early on. And we get it. You can tell somebody something to their blue in the face, to your blue in the face, and they don't have to listen. But some people are just not saying anything. We a lot of people think they're going through stuff alone, or they're the only ones dealing with certain things, but you're not. And I think that would help people. Not saying spill all your business. You do have to be wise in who you share things with, because you can't share stuff with just anybody. You can't. And I think about, you know, things we see. Usually you marry your parents, like the males. Sorry, y'all, they cut grass. My husband's cutting grass. You marry your parents. The daughter marries someone like the father, and the son marries someone like the mother. And again, without being told, you're doing what you see or what you saw, and that's what you're comfortable with. But I think about, sorry, even people who aren't, maybe married. You get into relationships, friendships with people because you're comfortable, or we listen to what people say, like, you only live once, you're young, live your best life, get out there and date everybody. And I think if the definition of dating was different, you can kind of say that. But now a lot of people are not keeping themselves. So you could be able to date 10 men within a year. But if you keep yourself, maybe that's why you went through 10, because you can see things more clearly when you aren't giving yourself up, when you're not giving your body up, and you actually learning that person. What is it, buddy?
Bugs keep missing.
You got bugs? So we need bug spray? You want bug spray? All right. Um, oh, shoot. Come on. That's not, I don't think, great advice. Ow! Or you need, stop it. Hey, stop it. Jordan. Yo, real life is happening. All right, let's spray. Move, dogs. Put your arms out. I need to spray myself too. All right, go up. Let me turn around. Ooh, strong. Hold on, look up. You're okay. Let me do the other arm. All right, come on. that stuff's strong. Anyways, if you're specific, you can date, but hey, make sure you keep yourself. And to the males too. A lot of males are not really being told to keep themselves. And like Bishop said today, and other men have said it, men, boys are praised on how many women they can get, how many girls, you got a girlfriend? And, it's kind of like it's praised. And a lot of boys really ain't thinking about that. They think, not that girls are yucky, but they ain't blind. They see what a lot of girls are doing, especially these girls now. They're tricking men and trapping them and doing all kinds of stuff. I am concerned about this generation, boys and girls. The girls thinking they can just do and say whatever, treat men any kind of way, and not understanding how different men and women are. We don't think the same. What will make you snap won't make a man snap, and how much stronger they are than us. And you can't play with people. And this is a spiritual thing as well, and that can ruin somebody to where so many people mess them over. Now they go to the next person, or they don't trust people. Hold on, y'all. I'm gonna put this here so I can spray myself. And like I said, I don't have a exact subject, y'all. I'm just kind of talking. Oh gosh, because I was thinking about it. I'm gonna just get out here. That was strong. But how they are watching us, so we're their first model, which is important if it can be done to have both parents in the home so they can see, a woman and a man. And there are instances where you're not going to have both. I've been there, so you see me now. I am married, but there was a time where I was married to not a so helpful person, and then I was a single mother of boys, and that was kind of tough, but it wasn't impossible. But I definitely saw a difference. Even my family, friends saw an immediate difference when my husband came into my life. The boys respond differently to men. My boys even told me this last year. I don't know what we were doing. I came home and they were like getting their chores done. And they're like, "Mom, how come when you're here, we don't we don't get our stuff done, but when Jay's here, we get our chores done?" And I'm like, "I don't know. That's a good question. That's on y'all." And I was like, "Because I tell you the same thing. Get your stuff done. You know it's supposed to be done." But they said, "Well, Mom, it ain't that we don't love you, but it's different with Jay. It's different with, it's different when you
So they don't love my dad?
they do, buddy. He's all in my conversation. The fact that they say, we love you, but it's different when you tell us to do something versus him. I could be on the phone, Jay could be on his way, he'd be like, "Hey, I'm on my way." I'm like, "All right." And then they'll hear that and start doing their chores. And I'm like, but I've been saying. So then it makes it look like, if you're not careful, if you're married, or it can make the other spouse, think you're not supporting them because stuff isn't getting done. But that's not the case. You really do have to step back, and everyone has a part to play in the family. But the kids, not that they were being disrespectful, but to them, they respond differently to a man than a woman, even though they still love me, but they don't see me the same. Same thing with the little one. If he hears, even the dogs, they hear Jay coming, they'll react. He ain't even got to say anything. And it's just having that presence in the home or anywhere, even at work. It's a different presence in your church, in your community. It is something different about having a man there, and not any man. Okay, it takes a certain type of man. All right, an actual real man brings a certain presence around. Versus, nothing wrong with women. I'm just saying it is different. It is different, and I appreciate Jay for that because it makes my job a lot easier with just his presence alone. And then I also have a part in that. I have to support Jay when he tells the boy stuff. I'm not, you too hard on him. No, because he's not. Would I have approached it that way? No, but it is effective. And then you know when to pull back and all that. So I appreciate it. Like I said, it can't come from me. It has to come from someone. And I have my role. The boys, they know when to come to me and reach out and have those conversations. Or if they get hurt, mom, they call who they need. And as parents, we can't get offended because it's not personal. All right. However your child sees you, that's how they're going to respond. And again, I don't know why I'm going this way, but I feel like I need to say it because even though I didn't take offense, I knew it was something that they had to figure out. But it's not an offense to you. They're figuring it out for themselves. And then you got to take yourself back when you were a child. Okay, well, how do I see both of my parents? You love them both, but who would I go to for this or for that over the other? I'm not saying anything's wrong, but it's just how we interpret things. So, but going back into teaching the younger, I'm like, man, all these young girls, and we have a group of girls in the church, and every time I see them, I try to tell them so they're encouraged. I'm like, look, y'all, I love your modest dress. You know what I mean? They cover up. It's not tight, and you could tell the spirit on them too. They're not trying to like seduce. And I'm like, man, and they just look. And again, I don't know what they're doing in their life, but they just don't come off as trying to seduce. So, and you can pick that up. Somebody could be dressed from head to toe, whatever, and you can still feel that spirit on them. And y'all know what I'm talking about. You can feel it. So I always try to encourage them. Man, I love y'all that you dress modest. Keep it up. And so they have to hear that. Because think about it, if no one tells them, but they hear other girls getting compliments and they're dressed a certain way, they're going to think, man, I got to dress that way to get compliments. Or no one sees me. So give them those compliments. Also, as a woman, when you're half dressed, first of all, it ain't never too hot to have nothing on. I'm sorry. You actually expose more skin, you're more hot in reality. But I was going to say, when you're fully dressed as a woman, even men, they're more comfortable giving you compliments. Other women, kids, people of all ages, young and old, will come up to you like, "Oh man, I love your outfit," or "You're pretty," or they can compliment you because it's not in a sexual way, and they can actually give you a compliment and you not be offended or take it the wrong way because you're covered up, they know you're covered up, and so do other people. So again, it opens up that door for other people. And then saying the same thing, it also, I've heard people say, well, I'm not responsible for if somebody looks, you can take that up with him and his wife, but I'm gonna wear what I want. And I'm like, you can, but also if you claim to be a follower, we are also called to not become stumbling, oh wow, stumbling blocks to other people. We're called to not be stumbling blocks to others. So if you know you're wearing something, and it's not an excuse for someone to look, but if you know it can catch someone's eye or cause him to go off track, because we don't know everyone's intention and everyone's hearts, then don't do it. It's not really about you at that point. Don't do it if you know someone else is going to stumble. If you know someone that's fasting, why would you go around them with your fresh, good smelling food knowing they can't eat right now? Kind of the same thing. Who is this in here? I don't know who this is. But even that, the comments, people are going to say things, but do we take offense to it or do we just brush it off and move on? Because it's for someone, and obviously they're not listening to the message, but it's for those or that person that needs to hear this. I'm trying to think, was there anything else? But I would say to those, if you made it this far, I think I have a lot of older, I have an older audience on my page that are following. But even to you, let's encourage the younger, and younger is anyone younger than you, even older, because that, and it doesn't have to be an age, it's a mindset. But encourage those that are younger, especially in their teens and 20s, because they're starting early. Shoot, earlier than that, elementary, middle school. Keep yourself, you know what I'm saying? Don't expose yourself and expose yourself to things too early. And yes, you may see other people doing it. You think they're satisfied and having fun, but those things follow you. You know, you can be exposed to things too early, and it affects you throughout your life. Young men are here. They say sow your oats, but now before you're even 20, you got 3 children by 3 different women, and now you take a hit financially because even if you want to stack your money's been divided up in 3 different households. And then even your body, you can't divide yourself into 3 different households equally. You know, your children want you all the time. You can't already be with them all the time. So imagine having to split that time over 3 households. And then if they live in different states or different countries, that's a lot. And then when you finally meet the woman that you want to marry, now you're thinking about, man, I got to tell her about these 3 different children I have, and then my check is not as big as it could be because of choices that I made early on in life. So those are consequences that you made, or as a result of the decisions you made early on in life, following the crowd or not resisting those urges, and you knew that you weren't supposed to be doing that anyway. You don't have to follow the crowd. It's okay to say no, even if it's family. Don't, and try to learn from others. Like, okay, I see what they're doing. I'm not going to go that way because I don't want to end up in that situation. And it's not the end of your life. What I'm saying is, it's just now there's a few delays. You know, whatever your plan was, you have to work around those consequences now. Same thing with, I was going to say something else. I lost my train of thought. For us as women, choosing the same type of person to be with, there are consequences for your actions, for our actions. You know, I'm paying for things, decisions I made early on that could have been prevented. I saw signs, I did it anyway. There's consequences to everything. Even to the young women, you know, men too, putting everything online, all the details doesn't need to be shared because one day your future spouse is going to see it, and that may determine whether they choose you or not based off what the information they have. Now everyone knows, and you would think, man, that's in my past, but it's still like everyone knows it though. Everything doesn't need to be exposed, so it's okay to give your testimony and give it to those who need to hear it. And then the right person to come along that's graced to, you know, handle what comes with that. Everyone is not graced for that. But I just want to say that, especially to the younger people and to us that are older and older than me, you know, it's not, again, it's not necessarily age, but a mindset. But definitely we are talking more on the age because you've been here longer. We've been here longer. We see people, we see the road they're going down, and instead of watching them and not saying anything, we do need to speak up. We do need to speak up. Even if you don't think they're listening, I feel like a seed planted is better than nothing at all. You don't know if it's going to sprout, and hopefully somebody else comes along to water that seed or plant some more seeds. And then obviously let our light be that example for them. But I definitely wish I would have made better choices, and not even just relationships, just finances. I would buy a car every 2 years, trade it in, get another one. I could have had 3 cars paid off by now. Thank God I have one paid off, you know, in my lifetime. And it was a great feeling to know I had one more payment and then I didn't have a payment. That was an awesome feeling. I felt like I was definitely an adult at that point. But those are things that we need to teach people as well. You don't have to keep upgrading because someone got some or something new comes out. Same thing with the phones. Get it until it don't work no more. Then you can upgrade. And until then, put yourself in a position where if something happens and you need another vehicle or a phone or a house or whatever the case, then you can actually get it because you put your money to the side and you're not jumping through hoops to try to get it. And it may be a lot tougher now with things going on. But everything is, a lot of things are temporary. It's not forever. Excuse me. But yeah, just teaching them all kinds of things. Teaching them about, whatever that works for you or has worked. Just teach. Teach it to the next. Because how many of us said, man, I wish somebody would have told us about this when I was younger, or I wish somebody would expose me to this. How many of us have said that? Many, I think all of us can say that we've said it. But how many of us are reaching back and doing the same thing? The same thing we're accusing others of doing, we're doing ourselves. But that's it, y'all. I didn't know how long I was going to be. I just wanted to kind of talk about that. But we could save ourselves and others a lot of heartache, money, time, resources if we kind of speak into them, not necessarily being so consumed with ourselves, actually reach back out and mentor somebody else or help them. You ain't even got to know them, just reach out. Because thinking about that person makes a decision, it impacts somebody else's life, which impacts part of their destiny, who impacts somebody else's life slash destiny, which impacts their kids, grandkids, great, it keeps going. It impacts communities. You think it's just you, but it actually impacts a lot. And some people don't think one person can change the world, but one person did. And one person can change a lot. But yeah, that's all I got, y'all. Thank you for watching thus far. But like I said, I'm going to figure out what happened to these other videos and see why they're not uploading. I have recipes, garden tips that are not seeming to upload here, or they're getting cut short. All right, y'all. I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.